Morning YouTube, it's Ade here from Skidmore Second-Hand Tyres, episode 5 of the boat restoration. I'm just sanding down the top of the outside of the boat and the inside down to the lip or the chine, ready for putting the gunnels on. And I've also sanded back at the transom and tapered down the sides of the top edge all the way around where that cutaway is, so that I can fill in with fiberglass pretty soon. It's very warm the last few days and I'm a bit loath to do any fiberglass in with it being so warm, because I understand that the resin can accelerate quite fast and go bang in no time. So I might leave that for a couple of days, because it may well cool down, and get on with doing the forging for take the temper out of that rove driver thing, so I can adapt that. But I'll show you what I've done with the transom so far, and what I'm planning to do with the fiberglass. I've drawn a line around the edge and tapered it down. I saw a technique where patching in with fiberglass, you would taper it down, chamfer it down at probably a 1 in 6 chamfer. This is a bit more than that, but I've not taken it too thin on the top edge. And then I'm going to put the transom plate back on. I've covered it in tape. I'm going to rub it over with some polishing wax, so that the fiberglass won't stick to the tape, and using some fine mesh, cover through right way across and force it in, and then put some rough weave chopped glass, or chopped strand I think it's called, on top of that, and then build it up in the curve, and then to finish it off, smooth it back, and then maybe put in another sheet of the fine glass over the top and up the sides to blend it all in and keep it all in one integral lump before I put fit the transom and inner transom back on. So it fills this up and gives it that curve to match, so that it's all looks like one edge when you look down from the top where they're sandwiched together. I've never done any fiberglassing before, and I'm looking forward to it with trepidation. Well, this is the results of the last time I tried normalising metal. I had a file which was probably about 14-15 inches long, and I filled that full of vermiculite. It's a recycling food waste bucket. I filled it full of vermiculite and shoved the 850 degrees centigrade file into it, and it went through the bottom and even into the sarcophagus that's underneath it. So I thought, oh, that's fitted in there well. Little did I know. But I set up the hot air gun onto the flexible exhaust pipe and into forge, which is just bricks piled up on the barbecue, and there's a deodorant can which I cut the top off that fits nicely over that pipe, and I've knocked some holes in it with a nail, and the hot air from the air from the hot air gun gives a nice blast into the charcoal, and it's brought the rove driver stroke riveting tool up to non-magnetic, which is about 850 degrees, and I give it one cycle and plunged it into the bucket of vermiculite and let it cool down, and then put it back in again and redid it. Between the heats I scratched the bare metal where I could see it with a knife, and it actually scratched, so I'm hoping that it's taken the temper out of the billet of metal so that I can drill it now. So that's going to stay in there overnight and cool down naturally for the rest of the day, and fingers crossed tomorrow we'll be able to drill a hole deep enough in there for using to drive the roves home onto the nails. We'll see you tomorrow. going to check now whether or not the taking the hardness out of the road driver worked. Been left overnight to cool right down, and wiggle the old lucky dip now to find it in the vermiculite. Here it is. It was covered in a coating of some sort and just shiny on the end, and the coating's worn off, but the metal underneath looks pretty good. And we've got a file here somewhere. Yeah. I'd say that's worked. It's produced a brightness on the corner, and certainly the file isn't skidding over it, so that looks like it was a success. I think that would probably be about enough depth. I've got just on 50 mil, so I think that'll be deep enough to warm now. I have to re-temper it now, re-harden and temper it. I think I might try and do it just up to around about there, so that we've got some softness for the hammer to hit. Got the forge going again, covering them with bricks at the moment to keep all the heat in, bring it up to its non-magnetic temperature before I plunge the road driver into the oil to quench it, make it hard, and then I've got to temper it in the oven for about probably 3/4 of an hour to an hour maybe, to bring the temper down to a point where it's hard enough not to mark, but soft enough that it won't shatter when you hit it with a hammer.
The basic point which when Variety wrote a review of this, Variety wrote the most poisonous review it had ever written about sex, and they were absolutely apoplectic about it. And essentially it was because the character of the prostitute, Martha Lamont, doesn't change when the story requires her to do so, i.e. she doesn't redeem herself at the end.
Right, so I'm going to leave it at that hardening today. I'm only going to do the one heat treatment on it, because it's only using it on copper. It doesn't need to be really hard anyway, so next thing to do, let it cool down a bit and then put it in the oven. Gas mark line for about an hour. Okay everybody, here goes my first ever attempt at fiberglass. I've got some West System epoxy which a kind neighbour up the road gave me. He had the end of a can and some hardener. I've been mixing it now for a good 2 minutes. It's a 5:1 ratio, which I've had to use dessert spoons for, because I haven't got any syringes or anything to measure it by. But I think that should be alright. I'm going to wet out the area now that I want to put this bit of mat in, and it's already been cleaned up with acetone. I'm just going to spread this on now. I've got a stiff brush here, and it's dripping everywhere, which I expected. I've watched a lot of stuff on YouTube about doing this, and they say it's messy, so I'm not surprised at all. Got a glove on. is a guy, I can't remember his name, Red Barn Boats, and he makes boats from scratch using the stitch and glue method, and he uses a toothbrush, and he practically builds a whole boat with a toothbrush. He does use a roller on the big areas when he puts a skin of fiberglass sheet on to the underside of the boat, but generally speaking a lot of it he uses just a little toothbrush, you know, an ordinary toothbrush, an old one. And he's quite a guy, and he's designs and builds his own boats, and the videos go into very great detail. One of those things about YouTube, about the community and the sharing that goes on of information, which I really like, and hopefully what I'm doing here will help someone or inspire someone to do the same, because it's watching people doing things on YouTube that has shown me that I can do or have a go at doing stuff as well. Like with the knives, watching Sandy, he posted a rather nice video today actually about his knife making journey. And watching him make his first knife was what inspired me to have a go as well and followed his steps. I just done for my own pleasure, and like him, well, I had no intention of doing it on a commercial basis. He never, when he started. Like working with boats, I'm not sure there's any real money in it for anyone. I'm wetting out all this area, but there's screws in there holding the transom on, and I don't want to cover those up, but I'm wetting out the area just to give it a bit of extra cover. Try not to stick these clamps to the transom. I've got a cut piece now. I've actually doing it in 3 sections because the transom sort of waves around, and even though it's screwed in, it actually won't hold against the back area here. So I'm doing it in 3 sections. So that I can get a nice fix against the back. Well, it looks like maybe things haven't gone quite according to plan. I don't know what's happened, but it looks like it may not have been hardener in the bottle that I was given with the epoxy resin. It's still in the same state as it was yesterday when I left. So I think I'm going to have to clean it all up and actually just order a new kit in from Amazon or somewhere. It's quite expensive epoxy, so I thought, well, if it's been given to me, I'll use it. It's not been an expensive mistake because everything's just liquid still, so I just clean it up with some rags and some thinners and start again. one actual valuable lesson I've learned is that I was thinking I was going to have to buy a gallon of the stuff, but I was looking yesterday, and you can buy I think it's 1 litre is about 35 quid for the hardener and the epoxy resin, and having knocked up 10 dessert spoonfuls yesterday, I know that it goes a long way, so I don't have to buy huge amounts, and it will last for a long time. So anything else that I use it for, it's going to last for a few years to be able to not be wasted expense. So one step sideways again. But am I downhearted? No.